Okay, while you download that, let me explain what we're gonna do. Remember that normally an application is separated between front end and back end. The front end is what the user sees, meaning the actual application, and is normally um, it normally has HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's what we've been doing this month and a half. The back end is where the database is, uh, and all the actual or more complex programming. Now, it's where all the classes are, all the connection to databases, um, and also what we call the business logic. Okay, um, business logic is all the processes that have to be done according to how the actual business, the customer, the client, the company where we're doing the application, all the processes that have to do with the way they do things. So, for instance, if we were doing an application for a school and we needed to say if a student was passed a course or failed a course, well, we actually kind of need to know what the criteria for passing or failing is, and that does not depend on us. That depends on the school. So they have to tell us, for instance, in our school, they have to say the student has to pass all three partials with an 8 or higher, or else they have to do remedial or they have to do extraordinary exam, and so on. So all those conditions and processes and all that, that is called business logic. Okay. So that part is done in the back end. So we're gonna start working with back end. In this case, with PHP. That's why I wanted you guys to download SAMP. I'll explain to you. Once you have this ready and installed, I want you to run it, and you'll get run the control panel, and you'll get something like this. It's not going to be started yet. It's going to say start here, but I'll show you what it is. Okay. And the other one that you're going to download is Postman, which is this. I'll explain to you what that is. When you start installing Postman, it's gonna ask you if you want to create an account or stuff like that. Way at the bottom, in a very small link in gray letters, you're gonna see that it says skip registration and go to the app. So do that. Got it?
Got it.
Okay. Let me know when you have both installed. Okay. Let me know when you guys are ready.
I have Postman, but the Sam is Starlink.
Okay. While you do that, I'm gonna take attendance. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Aguilera. Not here. I see you. You're there. There you are. The chat. Alvarado.
Present.
Alcázar.
Present.
Are you awake?
Yes.
Okay. Bartolo.
Here.
Oh, there you are. Baptist of the Church of the Cross. Not here. Baptist. Okay, Baptist is not here. Burgos.
Present.
Cáceres.
Present.
Cross.
Present.
Thorny Square.
Present.
Flowers Warrior. Not here. Flowers. Not here.
Teacher, I think that he's sick.
Very, very sick.
So.
Okay.
When he wake up, he vomito.
Vomited.
And yes, in the morning, he said that, and he can't assist in the class.
Okay. Garcia Lion.
Here.
Crane.
Here.
Gonzalez Camacho.
Here.
Gonzalez War.
Present.
Hey, Dalia. Here you are.
Here?
Yeah, but you're on the list.
I don't know.
You're looking at it.
What?
You are looking at it. It's on the screen I'm sharing.
Yes.
So there you are.
I don't know.
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, there you are. Here you are in my list.
It's a fact like Daira.
You are now in the list.
You weren't on the list before, now you are on the list. See?
Sí.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
She's still
So-
sleepy, teacher.
Yeah, I noticed. Levano? Levano. Not here. Marcus?
Here.
Redberry? Is she off to... Did she abandon school? Did she drop out?
I don't know, teacher. Professor.
Nobody knows? Oops, wrong one. Morales?
Here.
Ortega?
Here.
Patiño?
Here. Teacher, about Friday, I tell my tutor about I can enter the class because I have some problems with my light, and we already finished all the day.
Power, not like...
Yes,
It is called power. When you don't have
So sorry.
electricity, it's called I don't have power.
So I can enter the class, but I tell my tutor.
Well, she hasn't told me anything.
Okay, I'm gonna tell it.
Okay, Ramirez,
Here.
Ramirez Square. Ramirez Square not here. Kings, not here. Rodriguez,
Present.
Roman,
Present.
Salazar,
Present.
Uribe, not here. Vargas,
Present.
Victoriano,
Profe,
yeah.
Vargas here.
Where were you? Vargas is here.
Okay, okay.
Velarde is here.
Yes, I'm here.
I think I changed it. Then answer. Don't go have breakfast and come back and answer. Okay. So anyway, when we have backend programming, hold on. Okay, so again, remember, front end is what the user sees. Yep, and that's normally is HTML with CSS and of course JavaScript. Okay, backend is what I told you, business logic and connection to database. And the user does not see this. Now here we need to have we have different programming languages. The one that we're going to use is PHP. But before we do this, it is important to understand that PHP is a backend programming language, meaning that the browser, in this case, a Chrome or whichever one you use, does not understand PHP. PHP has to be executed on the server. Now, what is a server? If I ask you guys, what is a server? How do you respond to that? Come on, somebody.
Maybe where are all the where the information is saved, I think.
Well, what information?
For example, the information that you pides and keep.
Okay. Well, a server, remember, you guys are more on the software development side than on the networking side. So if we were to ask somebody from networking what a server is, he would tell us it's a computer that is hooked to a network and all that stuff. And that is correct. But in our case, a server is software. Okay? It is software that provides a service to clients. What are clients? Well, computers, remember? Okay, so a server is in this case is a software that provides a service. Okay. Well, actually, not computers, more like applications. Now, what type of servers do we know about? Give me examples of servers. I'll start with one.
SQL.
Which one? Which one did you say?
SQL.
Okay. Well, not that's the name of the product, but actually is database. Database server. An email server, what does it do? Well, it allows, stores, sends, receives email, right? Database server stores databases. Which one? What others do you know about?
Maybe Facebook.
What type of server would that be?
It's like the email. We can send a message, stores and receive message from other persons.
Could be, but well, there's also like notification or messaging server. Actually, more like or cloud
Professor,
messaging server. Send, receive messages.
Professor, could be application server?
The application server would actually just be like the actual server where you store the application. But in our case, the one we're gonna deal with is web server. Okay, a web server hosts websites. Okay, that means that a web server allows the storage of websites and allows the access from the internet to that server to access the websites. So when you have a website, where are you going to store it? Well, obviously it's a server, a hardware server, right? The computer, a very big computer with internet access and all that stuff. But that's not our concern. What we need to do is in that computer install a web server, a software that will allow us to host and access a website or allow access to a website. Okay, and that server allows only access to a specific folder inside the computer. It doesn't allow access to the hard drive, to all the parts of the hard drive or all the folders of the hard drive, just one folder in particular. Okay, so we need to install a web server. So we're going to have a web server. We also need to install to have a database management system. We need to have a programming language. And with that, we need to have an operating system. Operating system for the actual server. Okay. So if we have Microsoft, so, well, actually Windows Server. As a web server, the one that we should use would be IIS, which is Internet Information Service. You can actually find it here in Control Panel, Programs, turn Windows features on and off. This is going to take a while. And it's going to show all the features for Windows, and we can create or we can convert this computer to a server. Oops. Okay, so it's taking a little bit. A little longer. Anyway, okay. So if you have a Windows server, there you go. So you have to install Internet Information Server service. Actually, this feature allows you to make this computer a Windows web server, but we're not going to do that. Normally, if you have IIS, then you're going to use uh, MS SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, and you're going to use some sort of net .NET programming language. In this case, ASP.NET, which is the programming language inside Visual Studio. Some of you guys use C Sharp, which is also inside SQL Visual Studio. Okay, so if you were to use Microsoft tools, this is what you would have. Now you can also have, but we're not going to use Microsoft tools except for Windows. So the server that we need to use is called Apache. Okay, the database that we're going to use is MySQL or MariaDB, like it's called now, no longer called MySQL. And the programming language that we're going to use is PHP. But you can also use Linux with that. Same Apache, same MariaDB, MySQL, MariaDB. And PHP. So it doesn't matter which operating system you have. This is what the configuration that we need. So as you can see, if we take the letters, the first one, this one, is going to be Windows, Apache, MySQL, MariaDB, PHP. Okay? This one could be PHP, Perl, or other languages. Oh, actually, I'm going to put this one down here. So it's going to be Windows, Apache, MySQL, MariaDB, PHP. If it's Linux, it's Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. Okay, so this part doesn't really matter. And it's this. Okay, so that is what you actually downloaded. Sam, I don't know what the other P is for. Okay, so you have version for Windows, a version for Linux. And what this does is install the web server on your computer. It installs the database management system on your computer and installs the PHP programming language on your computer. Okay, so once you downloaded it and installed it, now you have this. Okay. I want you guys to try to start the Apache server. Just click on Start and tell me what happens. If it's green, then you're good. If it's not green, tell me what you got here.
I click on Start, but they are yellow, but don't do anything.
Give it a little bit.
And say this may be due to a blocked port, missing
Okay.
dependence.
I'll go explain that part. Were you guys able to run Apache?
Yes.
Okay, those of you that were able to run Apache, you're gonna see that you're running it on port 80. Okay, so that's the default. Whenever I ask you to do something with the type in the port, don't type in anything if you have 80. Those of you that were not able to run it because you got something like this, port 80 is in use or something to that effect, go to click on config and select the first file, Apache, well, httpd.conf. Click on that. It's going to be in Notepad. And look for a text, an instruction that says listen 80. and change it to listen 8080. I already did it because, as you can tell, I had my port 80 was not available. Okay, so I already changed it. So change it to 8080, save this file, and run it again.
Yes. Yeah, it's running with that.
Okay, everybody's running.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now your Apache server is running, and you can run MySQL. We're not going to use it right now, but you can run it if you want. Um, so that's what you're going to have. Your web server is already running. Okay. So now the only place where you can place, the only folder where you can store a PHP file is going to be in your C folder. You're going to have the SAMP folder in your C drive. You're going to have the SAMP folder unless you install it someplace else. And you're going to have HT docs. Okay. And actually, if you type in localhost in your browser, now again, if you use the port 80, just leave it as that port and localhost, just localhost. And if you have, you change the port to 8080, put colon 8080 and enter. And that's going to show you that SAMP is installed and is working and Apache is running and all that. Okay. So if you have this, that means your server is running correctly. Okay, so the only place that you can have a PHP file is in SAMP HT docs. That is the only place you're going to store files, nowhere else. Now, what we're going to do is you're going to create a folder here, whatever you want to call it. I called it Web 2020, and I actually have two groups. So I have 3A, 3B, and 3D. So I'm going to call it 3D. And then inside of it, I'm going to change it to, I'm going to create another folder called sample 01. And I'm going to open that folder from Visual Studio Code. Okay, got it?
Got it.
Okay, so we're going to create a new folder here. I'm sorry, a new file, and we could call it index.htm. I'm sorry, PHP. Index PHP. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so all the PHP code is going to be inside a PHP tag. Okay, And here, variables are going to be with a dollar sign. So for instance, we can have this. So that is a variable. That means that in PHP, it doesn't matter. You don't have to declare the variable. The first time PHP finds a variable, it's going to declare it, and it's going to be the type that of the first value that you gave it. So in this case, this variable is a string variable because you gave it a string. Okay. And then we're gonna display a greeting. So to display something in the browser, you're gonna display with echo, and you're gonna say hello, a space, just so they're not together. Hello in the name, and the way you add a string at the end of the other, so concatenate strings, is not with a plus sign like other languages, but is with a dot. Okay, so we're going to say hello, a space, and the name, whichever name I gave it up here. Okay, so we're going to try to test that. Now, in order for us to test this, we are not going to double click on the file or something like that. We're actually going to go through the server. We're going to allow the server to process it and just send us a response. I'm just going to change this to D. Okay, so you have hello, John. So it is the server that processed the code. And as you can tell, localhost 8080 points to the htdocs folder. That's why it went localhost 8080, that's the htdocs folder, and then into web 2020, then 3D, then sample one, and it found the index.php file. Okay, you got it?
Got it.
Got it.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, and if we right click the browser and select view page source, you're going to see that the only thing that you see is the result, which is hello, John. You do not see the code. Okay, that is important. Now, if I wanted to open the file directly from the folder, like I'm doing right now, the browser does not understand it. And since the browser does not understand it, it just displays the entire code. So that is not the correct way to do it. The correct way to do it is do it through the server. Again, those of you that are using just localhost with port 80, just put localhost and web 2020 and all that. If you have the port 8080, then localhost 8080 and the path. Do not try to open it directly because all you're going to do is show the code. Everybody understands?
Yes.
Any questions?
Mm-mm. Is the
No
local
questions?
host 8080 and the direction of the
We don't call it direction, but yeah, the path.
and that's it.
But remember, the path starts from htdocs. So the local host points to this one. I'm going to send you another link because the time's running out.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're all good?
Oh,
Yeah, let's wait for everybody. Okay, we only have 16 students back. I wonder where the rest went. Okay, well let's continue. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna try to receive, instead of putting the name as a fixed value, we're gonna try to receive it from here, from the URL. So in the URL, we're gonna put a question mark, and then we're gonna put name equals and put whatever name you want. Okay, but don't do enter yet, because we actually haven't read it from the code. So we have that. Now what we're going to do is here, we're going to read this element, the name, we're going to read it from the parameter name. And the way we do that, the way we read from the URL is with a get. So we're gonna go underscore get, and we're gonna read name. And then we can do enter. Okay, did it work?
Yes, it's working.
It worked?
Yes.
Okay, so what happens if we don't send name? Okay, let's say we don't send it. Then we're gonna get an error message because it's telling me that I don't have an index. In this case, the index is name. This is the index. I don't have it on line 2. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a condition here, an if statement, and I'm gonna check if they sent me the name parameter. So I'm going to use a function called isSet, which is 2 words, is set, meaning does it have value? So I'm going to check if name has value. And if it has value, I'm going to display this. If not, I'm just going to display hello anonymous. Okay, so if I don't send a name, then I get this part. If I send the name, then I get that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to receive 2 parameters, first name, and I'm going to also check if I received last name. I'm going to try to use the parameters all in lowercase letters. And we can use comments here. The variables can be with uppercase letters, but the parameters, no. No, dot. That's just a space. Okay, so again, I'm gonna send now first name and last name. It's gonna be first name, Mary, and last name, Johnson. Okay, the way you write this, you type this part, it has to be exactly the same way as you type this part here. Okay, exactly the same, uppercase or lowercase.
Professor,
Yeah,
some of my friends have problems with the power, like
how many of them?
8 or 6, I think. He said in the chat some moments ago.
Okay, I don't see it here. Now, Alvarado, if you have port 88, then just type localhost colon 88. If it's green, that means it's good. When it's green, that means it's running. So whatever port you have here, that's the one you're going to type here. Well, I can't do much about the people that are not here. Okay, any questions right now? No questions?
No.
I
Okay.
fixed it and
So a lot of what we're going to do is when we receive parameters from the front end, let's say I want all the products that have certain category of stuff like that. I'm going to send here category equals and whatever the ID of the category is. And then this part is going to go to the database, get all the categories, and send it back. Okay. So we're gonna display this part here. Well, not exactly like this, but we're gonna display it as a JSON object. We're already familiar with JSON objects. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you in PHP how to convert or encode to JSON. Okay, so JSON. So what we're gonna do is the following, and you're gonna do this a lot. So eventually you will learn it. We're going to use a function called JSON encode. And we're going to create key value pairs, which that's the way we work with JSON. So we're going to say first name, and then we're going to do an arrow, first name, and then last name, another arrow, last name. And then we're going to close out both parentheses. And we're going to have a JSON object. Okay, so but this is not very very nice. Hold on. We don't want to show it that way. So what we're gonna do is we're not gonna use Chrome. We're gonna use Postman. So what we're gonna do here is, again, since we're using get to read the values, we're gonna create a request, and the request should be get. We're actually only gonna use two of them, get and post. But post is to send data to the server. Get is to retrieve, or to read data from the server. So right now we're getting data from the server. So we're gonna use get, and you're gonna post the URL, but only up to index.php. You're gonna put the URL. And we're gonna put here the keys. That is the indexes that we want, the parameters that we want to send. So we're gonna say first name, and we're gonna say, I don't know, Steve. As you can see, it's being added up here, but it's easier to type them down here. Last name. Jobs. Okay, before we do this, I want you to go to the settings option up here, settings. And in the middle where it says language detection, change it to JSON. Okay? Got it?
Got it.
And now you can send it. And as you can see, you're going to get a JSON object, which is this one down here. Now, in the actually JSON objects, the key is encased in quotes. I forgot to change this one here. And if the value is a string or a date, it has quotes. If it's a number, it doesn't need quotes. Got it? Now, if you want to test whether or not you received the parameters, you don't have to erase them from here. You just unclick them, so that doesn't send them. So it's not sending one, so you get hello anonymous. But this isn't JSON, so we actually do want JSON there. So what we're going to do is JSON encode array error, and we're going to change this. We're going to say missing parameters. Okay, so if we don't send one, we don't send one, we get missing parameters. If we send them both, then we're good. Got it?
Got it.
Any questions?
The echo is
Echo.
echo is the print, I think, no? And
It's kind of like print. Yes, the display.
and why we sent the array to the page?
Because it's a associated array, meaning instead of indexes, we have names. So keys, value, key, value. Don't worry a lot about this. You're gonna use it exactly that way every time. Okay, so we're gonna do it a lot of times, and we're gonna use it the same way. So basically, it's the key, value, and so on.
Okay, and we can change that with the postman and send more easy.
Well, you can change what?
The value
The value, yeah, you can
in the post
Mike here. Ah,
and the,
Mike. And it changes. It receives the first name is Mike. So we get Mike, send it to the variable, and that is what we're displaying. First name, Mike.
okay.
And oh, Michael. Okay.
Okay, Professor.
Any other question?
No, no yet.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start working. So we're gonna test everything with Postman. Okay, we're not gonna use the browser. So bye browser. We're gonna test everything until we connect this to the front end. Well, we're gonna start using Postman. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create classes, and we're gonna actually call them models. So we're gonna create a new folder in our project, and we're gonna call that folder models. Models. And inside models, we're gonna create a new file, and we're gonna call it person.php. Okay. Now, last quadrimester, you studied object-oriented programming, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
And in that object-oriented programming, you learned how to create a class, how to use attributes, how to use, in the case of C#, properties, which have a get and a set, constructors, and all of that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I don't have to explain it again.
I don't think.
Okay. Well, we're going to create a new class. That we're going to call person. Simple enough. Then we're going to add the attributes. Okay. Now, what does the word private mean here in this context?
The user won't see it.
I'm sorry? What was it? Again.
And you can.
Oh, the user
you
won't
can,
see that? It's not the user. The user never sees classes.
You
It's
can.
other developers, other programmers won't see it. So a private member, and we're going to use the term member because it applies both to attributes and methods. Okay. So when something this is called accessibility. So when an attribute or a method, a member is private, it means that it is only accessible within the class. Okay, only within the class. You cannot access it from outside the class. If it's public, you can access it from wherever you want. And if it's protected, you can only access it from the class and from the derived classes. That means from the children, if you use inheritance. Okay? So in this case, the attributes are private. You cannot access them from the outside. So how do we access them if we cannot access the actual attributes? Anybody?
Can you repeat?
Sure. If the attributes are private, that means that we cannot access them from outside.
Mhm.
So exactly how are we going to access them if they're private?
You can access if you are in the class.
Yeah, but I want to access them from outside the class.
Outside the class, you need the constructor, I think.
Well, this is where in C# you use properties, right? Or you at least put get and set on your next to your
Oh, okay, the
variable.
get and set. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so those are called getters and setters. Getters and setters. And a getter is a method that we're going to use to read an attribute, to read it, to get it. A setter is a method that we're going to use to set the value of an attribute. Okay. In this case, both are going to be public. If not, we won't be able to read them. And they are actually methods. So in this case, it's functions. So we're going to go get first name. So this is a function. And in this case, when I read or when I invoke get first name, I'm actually going to return the value of first name. Now, what is actually this? Anybody know?
It's like a pointer, but it's not a pointer.
Kind of, but what does it point to?
You are setting a value to the first name, I think.
No. Now, this, remember, when you do a class, when you define a class, you're actually defining what those elements are going to be. Okay, what a class is. You're defining a data type. When you create an object, you are creating basically a variable of that data type that you created. So an object, you can have many objects of the same class. Now, all those objects are going to have different values assigned to those different um, uh, properties. So for instance, if you have first name, one object is going to have John, the other object is going to have Mary, and so on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but inside the class, before you create any attribute, any objects, the way that you reference the object is actually with the keyword this. So this refers to the object. Imagine that you are objects of the person class, and inside your head, you use the object or the keyword me. So if I ask your first name, then you're gonna answer me dot first name or me arrow first name. If I ask your age, you're gonna return me dot age, and so on. Okay, you're not gonna have your inside your head you are me, and inside all of your heads you are me, and that references the object, the owner, which is, well, you. Okay,
Okay,
the
it's
same thing applies here. This references the, well, actually it says right there, references the current object. Okay, so it is whichever object you're talking about, it is that object. And then we're gonna set the first name. For this, we need to send a value. We're gonna say value, and we say this first name equals value. So whichever value I send here is going to be passed to the attribute first name. And I'm going to do the same for last name. So now I have my getters and setters. Got it?
got it.
Okay, now can you tell me what a constructor is?
Mm, is construct the value. No, this the variable to the class. Something.
A constructor is a method
Uh,
that you use to initialize the values of the object. Okay, normally in C sharp, for instance, it is the name of the function is the same as the name of the class, but here it's not. The constructor is underscore construct. Okay, so we're gonna do a very easy one. Say this first name equals nothing. This last name equals empty. Okay. And finally, we're going to create a method to represent the object as a JSON object. So represent as JSON. And we're going to call it to JSON. And instead of displaying, we're going to return it. And again, the same thing, JSON encode, array, first name. So most of the code should be in the classes, not outside the classes. So we're gonna assume that we want we want to display the object as a JSON in a whole bunch of different places. So we're gonna do this here once, and then we can use it whenever we want to show the object as a JSON. We just invoke to JSON. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to go back to index. The first thing we need to do is use the file person. So we're going to say, I'm sorry, require once person.php. But it's not in, we have to go into the model folder to get it. So models / person.php. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. Now here, we're going to do it in one. Oh. So we're going to create the object. We're going to call it P for person. Then we're going to set the values. And we're going to do it this way to make it a little bit faster. The P, then an arrow, set first name. And it's going to be set last name. And then we're going to display it, but we don't have to display it as JSON here. We already have a method. So what we're going to do is just echo P to JSON. Now the results should be the same, but now we're using classes. Ah, the J. Okay. So I just changed it. I had JSON written incorrectly. Okay, did it work?
Yes, Professor.
Any questions?
Mm, not yet.
No, for the moment.
Okay, now I want you to do one yourselves. And this one's the class is gonna be called rectangle. And a rectangle has a width and a height. So those are gonna be the attributes, width and height. But I also want the area and the perimeter of the rectangle. But for those, I don't want attributes, I just want getters. Okay?
We get the attributes and after uh, give the area
No,
and
the area and the perimeter are not attributes. They're only getters.
area and what else?
Perimeter.
Perimeter. Okay,
Perimeter.
okay. That is a get it? Get?
Yeah, those are getters.
Okay.
So do it right now. Give you 20 minutes. And 20 minutes is a long time. Should give you just 10 minutes.
We can modify the
Create a new class.
okay.
Create a new class called rectangle. If you guys hear snoring, it's not me, it's my dog that's sitting right next to me. You guys done?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No, I am fixing problems.
Okay. Not yet. Come on. Anybody finished? Nobody? Again, nobody has finished yet. If you finished, send the code through Slack. Paste it like this. The code for the rectangle class. With this little button, code block, you send it there. And we'll look at it here.
Okay. Okay, whoever finishes first, send the code here.
Vámonos.
Nobody can finish. Come on. I'm waiting. If I don't see the code here in